Brittany, you want to sign this?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Doug, Ashley was gonna go look at that mowing stuff.
Do what?
Ashley was gonna go down there and look at that mowing stuff.
Oh, good, okay.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good.
I'm all right. Let's see.
Hey, Mark, let me update you on that. Get that ready. The roundabout thing.
Oh, yeah, Rover.
Yeah. Mark Graham wanted him to withdraw it. Submitted action here because he wanted to see a more defined geometric design. So we'll be getting with you.
Yeah.
As we develop that. Getting that fine. What he, I think what he wants is too much.
Because when he mentioned it to me, he said, well, I wanted to out, and that's why we sure got enough money. And I said, that's fine. I said, but who's on the hook for the, I said, I think they got $2.4 or $5 million. And you said it's gonna be 4.5. I said, who's gonna pay them $2 million?
Yeah. That's why we're gonna redo everything.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
All right, we will, I think it's 10 o'clock, so we will go ahead and call to order the regular session of the Houston County Commission for December 14th, 2020. We do have a quorum as all commissioners are in attendance now. I was talking slow, Commissioner Hart.
I see you were.
I'm glad everyone could be here today for our last meeting of the year. Thank goodness. Hopefully we will start a new year with our next meeting, and it'll be a better year and for all of us, all of you, and everyone, and we can move forward positively in 2021. Our invocation today will be led by Commissioner Harvey. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Singfield. If you will stand.
Father God, we thank you for this time to give us today, oh God. We pray, oh God, your sovereign hand forever be upon us, oh God, not just this meeting and this pandemic, oh God. Pray now, oh God, for the joyous season that we always celebrate each and every year, oh God. Bless families everywhere, send them a happy day. In Jesus' name we pray that one say.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Chris, you made it from Geneva County and record time, I think. Your story and you're sticking to it. I got it. Especially with, never mind. All right, gentlemen, you received copies of the minutes from the preceding meeting. If there are no corrections, do we have a motion to approve? So motion by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner Singfield. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, announcements. I just mentioned that this is our last meeting of the year. We hope all of you all of you that are hopefully watching on Zoom, have a very Merry Christmas and holiday season and New Year, and are here with us again after the first of the year. Holiday season is not quite as it's been in any other year. The things we normally get to attend, we aren't able to, but family is still family, so we encourage all of you to spend time, be thankful for the birth of our Lord and Savior, and enjoy the time that we have together during the holiday season. And from all of us, I think I can speak for all of us on the commission, we wish all of our citizens and everyone in the Wiregrass a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and look forward to good things in the coming year, working together with all of our citizens. Just wanted to say that on behalf of all of us. Other announcements, I know we've got all kind of parades that have taken place and are going on, and I don't comment about any of those or other things that may be going on.
Make a quick comment about the Witch Parade.
Yes, sir.
Christmas parade, Mr. Chairman, past Saturday, we had by far the most entries that we've ever had in a parade. And I don't know if it was just people wanting something to do, but I think last year was the record. They had 58, and this year they stopped counting the number of entries in the parade. The crowd was a little bit depressed from what I have seen in the past, so everybody, taking things.
You mean in numbers or in attitude?
Well, in numbers. They were obviously spaced apart and not quite as many of them, but anyway, it was good to be a night.
Good. Yeah, I think there have been several parades. I know some places have canceled parades, but I know some have been going on, and it's good to have that time to, like we just said, to get in the spirit, and everyone will get out and participate in those. Other announcements, comments? Yes, sir. Commissioner
Got a couple here. The turkeys from heaven, smoked turkeys, can be purchased this year at any pig with you, $22. And then the distribution of those will be on the 23rd of December at the Wiregrass Museum of Art. If anyone wants to participate, volunteer to help those. Normally we do all the turkeys from heaven cooking it at the out at the Peanut Fairgrounds, but that couldn't happen this year. But it will take place, and so I encourage everyone to go buy some turkeys and help them with this distribution of those meals. And also the Salvation Army, normally we do that at Peanut Festival, but this year it's going to be at the Houston County Farm Center. And on December the 15th, the workday is set up, put the toys together and everything that they normally do. And then that distribution is going to be on December the 21st. On Wednesday. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other announcements? All right, and we don't have any presentations or proclamations today, so we will just move right into our relatively long regular agenda. The first item on the agenda is a request to present the 2019-2020 Department Over and Under Spending Summary Report as required by law. I will turn that over. Well, first of all, we need a motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Harden. Second by Commissioner Singfield. I will now turn that over to Mr. Covert, who will present those numbers, answer any questions, and then ask vote affirmatively or negatively.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. As our screen raises, I'll just make a few opening comments. It's no surprise to anyone here or out in our community, this has been an unusual year. And it has created some additional challenges by many of our departments that the Commission is, I'm sure, very well aware of. As you can see, also, which is a little unusual this year, is our presentation, which includes some additional items that are not normally in our presentation for the over-under report. And that namely is, I included a COVID-19 column. Let me see if I can.
I was gonna say, can you make that full screen?
I do not know the answer to that question, but I will do my very, very best.
Okay. Good job.
Let's not get too carried away. It's not over yet. So as you gentlemen can see, and I presume it's showing up on the other screen, that that we had some considerable unbudgeted expenses as it related to this pandemic that we're all dealing with. So I felt it appropriate to take those expenditures out of the line item as the department heads and the commission themselves, as you can see, really didn't have a choice. These were items that we needed to make sure that we sufficiently spent on to ensure the safety and health and to preserve those two items of both our citizens and our county employees. And so as you can see, I've removed those items from consideration in this over and under report. Overall, the county and the operating departments came in about $1.25 million under budget. There were a few departments that ran a little over, one of which was our exiting employees line. You can see the second line down. We had a higher turnover than we had expected in jail, dispatch, and corrections officers. But as you gentlemen may know, in the county government, the employees accrue certain benefits that they either can take while they're here, i.e. sick and vacation time, or when they leave, as they have earned that, they can take that as a final pay. That is not something that we can budget per se, because we can't anticipate who's going to exit employ. We do budget those that we know are going to retire, and there were 4 employees that we had in our budget for this just finished fiscal year as a expected expense, but because of the higher turnover, it was higher than what we had budgeted and anticipated. Another department that is slightly over is the sheriff's department. Again, these overages are completely understandable and explainable. In the sheriff's department, there were higher than expected repairs and maintenance on his motor vehicles, and some of the there was a new copier contract that was entered into mid-year, was not anticipated in the budget process, and so that created that line item to be in excess of what we budgeted. And finally, the communications equipment. Some of that equipment is getting sort of end of life and needed to be updated and repaired. And so most of it in vehicles, and those items ran over budget. But again, each one of those individual items was not substantial or significant, but combined together, it did come in around, as you can see on the sheriff's, it came in around $32,000 over budget. The other area that we exceeded was in the coroner's department. That was primarily because the end of last year there was an assistant coroner that left, and it was not anticipated that I would be replaced. In conversations with the coroner, as it turned out, that he did get an assistant to be to fulfill some of the duty and responsibilities of the coroner office, and so that he ran a little bit over on his budget, but that's been incorporated into this year's budget, so that's not anticipated to recur. And there was also, I'm going to go to the next page, you'll see that on the 2020 bond materials, there was what would otherwise look like a significant over budget. That's just an accounting anomaly. That it basically is the Rebuild Alabama road and bridge expenditures that is in the budget fund, but has to flow through Fund 004. So there's really no budget for that, but you'll see on the next page where in the Road and Bridge Department for the Rebuild Alabama, it's about $4 million under budget. Excuse me, $5.1 million under budget. And everything else there is pretty much right in line. Community Corrections was a little bit over budget, and that's primarily because there was an increase in the required contract services. DSI security rate per guard has gone up higher than what we were originally informed for our budget for 2020. But that again has been incorporated and adopted into the 2021 budget. So it's not anticipated that will recur. And finally, on page 3, as I mentioned, you'll see that our County Rebuild Alabama Fund is significantly under budget, but that is primarily because what was put in the budget was the entire Rebuild Alabama money, and that's going to be bled off over the next couple of years as the Road and Bridge Department works on the on the Rebuild Alabama roads that are in their strategic plan. Overall, the expenditures for the county came in after taking out the COVID-19 expenses just under $6.5 million under budget. Are there any questions?
Any questions regarding the over and under spending summary report? I don't think there's any abuse of any budgets in there that we have to charge anybody or ask for any funding. Obviously, COVID has had an impact, but as you all know, and by the way, this is budget that ended September 30th. We're talking about this is a prior year budget, and as you know, we're attempting to get back all the money we spent that's in that COVID-19 column there. So, yes, sir, Commissioner Sinclair.
The jail,
Yes, sir.
I know that we're housing several state inmates,
Yes, sir.
and that's probably an increase in our expenditures for them waiting for trial or move to the state. Have we gotten any reimbursements from the state on any of that?
Not yet, and that's probably because we haven't requested one yet. Major Rafferty and I are working on the details regarding that. I just got some clarity from the counsel for the ACCA regarding when exactly a state inmate is considered a state inmate. So there's a period of time, 30 days, after they are deemed a state inmate, that the county needs to house that pending transfer. And it's beyond that 30 days. And we do have several. We have, I believe, about 128 inmates, some of which have exceeded that threshold. And it's beyond that we get the reimbursement from the state, which we will be submitting. There's not a deadline as there is with the CARES Act, the reimbursement request, but the sheriff's major and I are working on that.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Other questions or comments about this item? All right, all in favor of approving the request and the overs and unders, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 2 is request to publish the Houston County year-end financial report to include county, fiduciary, and other special trust funds. So, Mr. Coker, so moved by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner Harris. Comments or questions? This is required by law to publish in the paper, and I will say one of the comments I'll get to in a minute that was submitted to us included a note regarding our website having an updated current financial statement. The one that is on there currently is out of date, and we're going to take care of that and be sure the financial information that's on our website is up to date. Which would include this, I suppose. So, questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 3 is request to approve change order from Poly Inc. for solid waste disposal project at Industrial Park. Motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Shute. Second by Commissioner Singfield. Questions or comments? Mr. Brandon is here again today. If you have any questions for him that you have thought about since Thursday. If not, then do we, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for being here, James. Appreciate your input. Item number 4 is request to enter into an agreement with Five Star Credit Union for the financing of 4 John Deere tractors.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Singfield. Second by Commissioner Herring. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 5, request to award contract to Merchant Services for probate credit card use. Motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Shute.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Singfield. Any comments or questions or concerns? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6 is request to approve resolution for the expansion of the Industrial Development Authority of Houston and Henry County. Motion by Commissioner Shute. You have to do all the work today.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Singfield. I will report, I just got a text from Matt and the Geneva County Commission approved their portion of this a few minutes ago. So everything is in line to make this happen. Pending you voting right here in a second. Questions or comments? This is a good thing, and another, you guys are all to be commended, as Matt said the other day, for looking and operating regionally, which we have to do in our area to compete. And this certainly is another effort. This will help Geneva hopefully succeed in their efforts in locating a business that will be positive for Houston County, and like Matt said Thursday, we're all in this together, and what's good for them is good for us. So, good thing. Other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Item number 7, request to award bid for chiller at jail to lowest bidder meeting specs.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Herring. Second by Commissioner Singfield. Questions or comments? Sean is here. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And number 8, request to award bid to replace Road and Bridge shop roof to lowest bidder meeting specs.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Shute, second by Commissioner Singfield. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 9, request to approve agreement for housing municipal inmates in county jail.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Singfield.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shute. This was one of those things you all, I believe, got emailed, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes.
So, were there any questions regarding that? I guess. Yes, sir. You want to come forward?
Morning.
All right, pull that mic up so.
I met with Chief Carlisle this morning.
Okay.
There is a couple of amendments that they're like to see on this request for the municipalities.
Okay. Chris, Tom, did you get a copy of it when it was done?
This was just handed to me this morning.
Okay. All right.
And I
Well,
think it's
let's see if
the
they're,
most recent one that Major Rafferty had.
all right. Let's see how simple they are and see if we can work through them. If not, we may need to table this, but we'll see. Go ahead. Let me find it in here. Go ahead.
All right. The first one is up under the agreement part, up under conditions, acceptance, and municipal inmates. Down about 5 sentences at the beginning of it where it says the municipality may be required by the sheriff or designated deputy correction officer, physician, or nurse to have a municipal inmate evaluated by medical professionals. If deemed necessary prior to the sheriff accepting custody of such municipal inmate, that it is at the request that the wording be added at sole cost of the municipality. within that sentence.
Where is that exactly?
It's the last portion of that paragraph where it starts with the municipality.
Okay. You understand that, Chris?
I do.
Any issue with that?
Probably better just to table and let me discuss it with just be.
Okay. I meet with the sheriff's department and come up with a clean document to vote on? All right. There's no urgency to this, right? I mean,
It's my understanding that there's not urgency. Is that a false statement?
No, from my understanding, there's not.
all right. Then if that, unless there being objection, we would need a motion to table until the next commission meeting.
Comment real quick. I did the math on this. Then it said on number 2, and my paperwork, and it's not all, I've got it out of order here, but it says the municipality shall pay the commission an amount of $15 per day for each municipal inmate who is incarcerated in jail. Did the math. We spend about 8,000, let's see, $11,600 per day on manpower. That's just manpower, so that's not facilities. So divided by 365 days, no, I'm sorry, $11,600 a day. Average number of inmates, I'm guessing, is about 375 a day based on a question I asked Commissioner Geary earlier. That comes up roughly to a cost of $31 a day just for the manpower to oversee that individual inmate. So my question is, we're going to look at this and maybe to revise that rate upwards. I think we're losing money on this. And it's not a little bit of money, we're losing a lot of money.
Well, we are, but we currently charge what is it? $5 a day. And this rate is based on what other counties are charging. We did this to try, I mean, this is kind of a service, frankly. I mean, you know, I don't know, we can do whatever y'all want to do, but you know, this is, I think the 15 was what was recommended by the sheriff, and the meeting we had was not, and again, based on what is pretty much standard around the region. So we weren't trying to cover our costs, frankly. We were just trying to raise it to what was better than where we were, and still provide the service. Peter, you got a comment?
I do. First of all, Commissioner Chief, let me apologize. When you asked me that question earlier today, I didn't know what context it was. I would have provided you my opinion regarding that at the time. So, and if you'll, and we can go into this more in detail, but I would look at this as an accountant, as a CPA. I would look at this as an incremental cost rather than a allocated cost. By that I mean the employees we have not added jailers or any admin payroll expense as a result of the municipal inmates. We have added meals, and there are some other sort of incremental costs, minor incremental costs, but you and I can talk about that offline a little bit more if you like.
That's fine, and I appreciate your opinion. That was just the only comment I had. And I will say this, I don't have any municipalities other than Cedar Bedford accounts, primarily their own inmates, so I'm certainly sensitive to the fact that y'all have cities y'all have to represent, and I don't, so that's the only comment. Thank you.
All right, so if the intent is to table, I would need a motion to table.
A motion to table.
Second. Motion to table by Commissioner Herring and a second by Commissioner Harvey. All in favor say to this table to the next commission meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, sir. Chris, if you will make a point to get with whom y'all just, can y'all talk after the meeting and figure out who needs to get with who? Okay, thanks. All right. Number 10, request to approve pass-through grant 20 FIL from Homeland Security in the amount of $7,501. Motion by Commissioner Harvey. Second by Commissioner Herring. Questions or comments? Thank you. Director Judah is here if you have questions. This is a normal and customary grant that we talked about on Thursday. Questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 11, request to approve resolution to adopt policy regarding audio and video recording within county-owned property. Motion by Commissioner Harvey. Second by Commissioner Singfield. Need to discuss this a bit. As you know, when we have items on the agenda, we, under our unfortunate current situations, we publicize the agenda and ask for comments, and we did receive some comments, which I want to put on the record at this time and will become part of the minutes. And then I want to clarify what we're doing today because there is some misunderstanding. Ms. Rose Taft sent in the following comments. I'm just going to read them. It says, commission meetings are meant to be public forums. The people are the ones that appointed you, and as you represent them, it is important that you're able to see and record those meetings. If someone's not able to attend the meeting, it is important to have that recording so that those that want to be informed can go back and watch that information. Concerning the proposed vote on Monday that will limit people from recording and videoing the public commission meeting, I urge you to remember your responsibility as public officials and the duty to the people. This is an overstep of your authority to even consider a vote on this. I'm urging you to vote no. Okay, we are not voting to limit any recording in this room. And Chris has moved to the podium, to the microphone, so, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We have no policy regarding video, primarily video, recording in this building. This is not any attempt to limit anybody from recording or attending a commission meeting. Anyone that comes to this commission meeting, particularly media, is certainly welcome to. As a matter of fact, I think in this policy, this room is excluded from this policy, as is the 6th floor conference room, where we have work sessions. But there are places in this facility that recordings cannot just be allowed willy-nilly, if you will, just because it's a public building. The example I used on Thursday that is by far the extreme would be a public restroom. You cannot go into a public restroom in this building just because this is a public building and record, and we have no policy that says that. There are other areas. The probate judge is in fact a judge. You cannot go into his office and begin recording just because this is a public building. You have to have his permission. We have no policy that says that. So this addresses areas like that. This does not by any means prohibit any recording of one of our meetings. We're addressing that in the next item. We are very, very adamant, as a matter of fact, about allowing the public access to our meetings. That's why we have been putting these meetings on Zoom. So we did get that email in from Ms. Taft. I wanted to read that, and we will make it part of the minutes. If the email will be in the minutes, and I just wanted to clarify that. So, Chris, you want to make any comments?
Yes, sir. Just to go into a little more detail about what you've stated, the purpose of this policy is to define what areas of this building are on limits and off limits for recording an audio video. This particular room during a public meeting is going to have access just like it normally has. In addition to the regular laws of the Open Meetings Act that would allow those things, this policy does not address that. It is in the areas of the administration building where business is typically conducted that this would be limited to
no allowing of audio or video recording unless the people that are being recorded consent to that recording. Again, it doesn't say that it is no, it says you have to have received consent for it. That would not apply during this meeting because it's a public meeting. It would be when other things are going on in this building, which business is conducted all the time. If you're going to go pay your taxes for your property, you're not going to be subject to a video requirement here. You have to consent to it. That just seems reasonable and fair, and the law certainly allows that. As you said, the law does not give unfettered right in a public building to just record audio and video. That's not the law.
Okay. Questions regarding this policy you're being asked to approve?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you being here. I know we talked about how this room is exempt from the rules that we're considering. So my question is, it says in section 1B, Kingston County Commission chambers and conference rooms in the county administrative buildings are hereby declared to be non-public forums unless or until a public meeting is convened in such areas pursuant to public notice. So my question is this: we come up here, spend 5 minutes yakking before and after the meeting. According to the way I would understand this, which I'm not a lawyer, that's why I'm asking you this question. The way I would understand this is that it would be impermissible for anybody to record video or audio until the chairman calls the meeting to order. Is that correct?
Without consent. If an open meeting has been called, then that would be subject to it. Outside of that, then no. If you and I are talking in here, somebody walks in, they have to get our consent in order to record that video and audio recording.
Next question: if I were coming into the building, I was on the property but not in the building, or I was leaving the building but not off the premises, and a reporter stuck a camera and a microphone in my face and wanted to get a comment on something that was going on, would that be permissible or impermissible under this?
This only addresses inside the walls.
Okay.
Outside the walls, this policy is not in effect.
So if I were to, this meeting were adjourned and I'm going towards the elevator and someone stuck a microphone or a camera in my face and wanted to get a comment, that would be permissible or impermissible?
If they're inside the building, you'd have to consent to them recording. It's allowed if consent is given.
Gotcha. Last question is, if I was in the tagline and there was a confrontation, and I'm not going to assign blame or make up a scenario, but let's just say that there was some sort of altercation and a citizen got out the camera phone and recorded that altercation, that would be permissible or impermissible?
They would have to receive consent from those people they're recording in order for that to be recorded.
Gotcha.
But could you really stop them?
This would allow, if that is being done without the consent of the individuals, then the law enforcement officer would be allowed to say, you need to stop recording. If they refuse to acknowledge and follow the law enforcement officer's request, then that person could be cited for trespassing and removed from the premises.
But what if they're shooting off the premises onto the premises?
If they're standing at the library shooting, this policy wouldn't address it.
It wouldn't even address it?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So they can be standing right on the street and on the curb, it wouldn't address it?
That's correct.
It's inside.
The purpose of this policy,
But he was an altercation.
the purpose of this policy was within this building, and primarily with thinking through your employees are here to do their job, and they shouldn't be berated and have issues related to doing their job. And a lot of people don't like being recorded, and there's a fair reason for that. So this is, and as well as the citizens that are coming here, most of them don't like their business being recorded.
And, this is not, we're not doing this to nitpick anything, we need for our security to have the ability to enforce things should it get to that point. Right now, they don't have that ability. This policy would give them the ability. Correct. Basically. To me, that's the reason for it. It's not to, you go down there and stop in and create an issue. We're trying to give the sheriff's department, law enforcement, the ability to take action when they need to.
When you think some recordings would be important though, some instances? And just depending on the situation. I mean, I'm trying to look at it from both sides. You know. What you saying, Commissioner?
I want to make sure I'm correct on this, Brett, so I'm not missing more research, but there is a law of criminal eavesdropping in the state of Alabama, which is a class B misdemeanor. There's also a federal law that covers recording someone, audio recording someone, the conversation without the consent of the other. You've got to have consent. One party consent states what state of Alabama is.
Yes, sir.
So, and I think what their concern is and what they're asking is that there's something that is going on, which we do have cameras on our building out here for security reasons, for the safety of the citizens of this county, and for us to be able to, for them to feel secure, and for us to be able to, if something happens, for us to be able to go back to cover. You know, you gotta have that. Now, in the duty of a commissioner or duty of a law enforcement officer, those can be recorded. If they are in their official duties and capacity, they can be recorded. Just like you're saying, the commission meeting, whatever it is in session, at that point, they are allowed to record, video record, audio record what is going on.
Yes, so there's a specific, if you would, page 2, line E, I believe there's a second sentence, begins about a third of the way down that page. This prohibition shall not apply to any law enforcement activity. If there were any issue inside this building that would be law enforcement related, then this policy concedes to the law.
And so the issue that we've been having is there are some people that are coming with video recorders, and they're trying to come into the building and record citizens of this county. And they're trying to come in and record what they are doing, and it's making them feel uncomfortable because they're recording them. And I get, there are some situations that somebody might be involved in, a little situation, domestic violence situation, where they might not know where their ex is or haven't gone to. But you record them, you put it out there in the public, then you just put that person's safety at risk. It's, it's just one example. So what we're doing is putting a policy in place because we don't have a policy in place to say that we're not going to allow people to come here and just trespass and harass our citizens of our county as they come into business, or our employees of our county as they come into business.
Yes. Well, again, and that's both are very good points, Commissioner. And again, we had not to get into any detail, but we had an issue come up and asked our security to handle it, and frankly, they couldn't because we didn't have a policy in place. So we need this for that reason. Again, we're not trying to nitpick, we're trying to protect, and that's what this is for. And so, thank you for those very good comments. Any other questions or comments?
I want to make sure, I know
Yes, sir.
you reiterated that, but I want to make sure. This has nothing to do with this commission meeting. When this commission meeting we're in session, call to order. Anyone can come in here and record, audio record or video record this meeting.
Yes, sir. This
It's not
policy.
prohibited.
Correct. I'm sorry, Commissioner Shue.
I'll let Mr. Sanders, since he wanted to.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Y'all need to raise your hand, I can see you down there.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chris. This, for example, there are certain areas which are intended primarily to use county employees to conduct their business. And this is a public building, people's building. We do have in place security to monitor any unusual activity or suspicious activity. That's why we have law enforcement down with the metal detector coming in. And if we see, or any employee sees anything that's unusual or concerned about that might interfere with their job, then with or without this policy, that person can be addressed. I don't believe we need this. We have law enforcement and security in this building to take care of the employees, and that's something we need, priority also. But it's a public building, and we're videoing now. We have media video. We have media going out talking to commissioners or other people on items that come up on the agenda. So I'm just a little concerned about limiting to things that we can and can't do. We can talk about a lot of hypotheticals here, but still, overall, I'm concerned about the audio or video recordings here. Shouldn't be all that concerned, as long as we're doing the right thing and making sure people are protected and allowing the public to do what we do.
Doug, I missed it. What are you concerned about?
Oh, before you, let me address what you said with due respect. We can address it because we have no policy in place, and the deputies and the sheriff's department have told me because we have no policy in place, they cannot address it. That is exactly what happened. We had an incident come up, and they could not address it because the commission had no policy on this building. So that's why this came up. Is I asked Press, who was in the building that very day, to meet with them and give them a policy so that they could address a situation if it came up. I was told by the law enforcement that without a policy, they cannot address it. So that's why we're doing it, so they can do their job. Now, excuse me, Commissioner. Well, Commissioner Chief, first, go back. Okay, Commissioner Harvey, y'all are.
I don't know, I guess it was the pros and cons on both sides. That's my question. Go ahead.
Commissioner Chief.
I'm really divided about this. I mean, on one hand, I see we have to have a policy in place. I agree. We need to have a policy because I don't think that we need to have somebody from who knows where coming here recording Sally Clerk or Joe Clerk down in the probate office, typing away on a computer, processing tags or whatever. I think we got to have a policy in place. The thing that I'm concerned is about is like we may only need to go 50 yards, and I feel like we're going further than that, especially as it relates to elected officials. Think about the time that we're in. We're not even allowed the public to come here. And now we're saying we can't record unless it's considered to. Even in these chambers, we can all be here. We can have a forum, but you can't record unless we consent to it. I just have some concerns about that. I mean, people don't trust elected officials anyway, and we're giving them an excuse to distrust us even more. I want to do a policy. I don't know if I can vote for this today. I would welcome this policy to be revised and limited in some way so that I can vote for it. But I'm really having a problem voting for this as it's named, if that makes sense.
I would agree with some of that, but I would also say that I think the public trusts us to keep them safe while they're here too, and to keep their privacy safe, as Commissioner Harry said. There are certainly a lot of situations, and again, this particularly goes back to one situation. I just believe we need to give, we budgeted security at the door this year. We need to give them the ability to do their job.
Just to clarify, if anyone wanted to come into your office and videotape you, the only thing this policy says is they have to ask your permission before they do that. Okay. As the law stands now, if you told them you cannot record them, they can't record you. That's simply putting in policy what is true. I want to make sure I'm clarifying that. This would be the law says you could say there is no videotaping other than public building. The purpose of this is trying to identify areas and locations that are given limited public forums with the legal statement. There's open public forums, and the only ones that those are identified in law is things like parks, streets, historical places of congregation for public discourse. more than happy to address whatever you would like to see in this policy. The purpose of it is to get you what you need. And
Okay. So let's just say, mission meeting's over, we're adjourned. I walk out, I got my son here. Okay? He's out there. We go out here and we're in the hallway and physical altercation pops off. Me and someone else, I didn't start, they started, but I'm in the midst of the altercation. My son was recording the whole time, exact whole time. Would he be wrong? Would he not need to record or should he record? Is that good? Just actually, can he keep it or can he not keep it?
I don't understand I think we're.
No, Marcy. No, I'm not mean, it was what I said.
But I think you're asking for me to give a legal opinion essentially on the.
No, I'm actually, can he record or not according to the policy that we're putting in place today? That's all I'm asking.
The policy would say you can be asked to stop the recording. And if you refuse to stop the recording, he could be escorted from the building.
That's what I thought.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
According to the policy, that's what can happen, but that's really not what the policy is.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Can we-
Commissioner here.
Can we table this? Can I make a motion to table this and then we put it in the next and let's see? You know, I mean, it's just, I think there's some confusion about, and I think that we just need some more clarification.
You can make any motion you would like. You are a commissioner and able to do that, but I would like to know what we're going to clarify and how you would like to do that between now and then. Well,
And I think it comes down to tell me if I'm wrong, Chris, it comes down to recording and anybody being able just to come in here and record what is going on. It's for the safety of our employees in Houston County as well as the citizens of Houston County.
Yes, sir.
We have outside people that are coming in, not even from our county or our state, and they're just coming here to record to cause chaos. And they are alarming our citizens and our employees by coming in and doing that. And they're trying to cause confrontation. That's what they're trying to do. I believe they call it First Amendment auditors, is what I understand. And they're trying to cause confrontation. And they come in and then they harass our citizens and they harass our employees when they come in and do that.
As we sit here right now, there's no policy in place to address any of those issues.
No policy in place to address this issue. Okay. However, there is the law of criminal eavesdropping in the state of Alabama, as well as the wiretapping law, federal law. This, you cannot record without one party consenting in the state of Alabama. Without one party consenting to it, as part of that conversation.
Correct.
Well, we're trying to put something in place as a policy goes. So the commission is in control of the buildings. The commission, commissioners, us commission, we're in control of the buildings, the safety of the buildings and everything. So we've got security. So we can put a policy in place. You're saying it's legal. It's not unconstitutional. It's not anybody's civil rights. We can put it in place so law enforcement will be able to have something to say, hey, what's your business here? Why are you here? What are you doing for the safety system? Because for all we know, they could be coming in recording our building to get the layout and put an explosive device in here. They could be trying to figure out ways to come in here and cause havoc. I mean, it's just, it happens. That's what people do. And that's what they could be doing. We've got to look out for the safety of this building and the citizens of this county and the employees. So I guess what I'm getting at is I'm not sure it's clarified. I think some are worried about, well, you just can't come in here and record it. If there's a crime going on and an incident going on, it's just like with law enforcement. When you cut on your blue lights and you're out here in the act of your duty, there's nothing unconstitutional about you recording what we're doing. And is there anything that is unconstitutional or violate anybody's civil rights in what this policy says?
That's
okay. So I think there just is clarification of some of these other ones. Like Commissioner Harvey was saying that if he had his grandson with him or son with him, and there was an altercation that happened, well, of
course, if you're harassing, shoving somebody, hitting somebody, that's a crime. That's harassment. It could be an assault. Could well be an attempt on whatever. You're reporting something that law enforcement or that the judicial system could use to prove your case that you have been violated in some way or your rights have been violated. So there are certain, I guess you'd say, exceptions to what we are talking about. This just gives us the ability to say, who are you? Why are you here? And why are you recording? What are you doing? What is your purpose? Now, if they're here to do legitimate business in the county, pay their taxes, do their tag, whatever else it is within the building, I can understand all that. But I think what the problem is them understanding that, hey, you can come in, and I think that's what some people want to do, is just do it, record whenever they want to record what is going on. But yet there is some expectation of privacy. Even though this is a public building, it's just like Chairman Cole said about the restroom. You know, there's the restroom paid by the county taxpayers of this county, by taxpayers. You can't just go into a restroom and record what's going on. So I guess what it is they're a little confused maybe because this is, does anybody have expectation of privacy inside this building? Or is it because you are a commissioner or because do you not have that as an employee? Do you not have expectation of privacy at all? Because you're inside this county building? You know, so I guess that's some of the clarifications that need to be made. We need to understand exactly what we're doing and make sure that we're not violating anybody's civil rights or constitutional rights. I think that's what we're concerned.
Well, two comment. One, this is really no different than the courthouse. I mean, the courthouse is a public building, and I assure you, you can't go walking around the courthouse recording. Judge Anderson would love it if you walk in his courtroom with a camera without him giving you permission. Second thing is, you know, I don't believe this policy violates anybody's civil rights or pretty gracefully wouldn't put it together. And so, you know, if there are parts of this that you are uncomfortable with that we need to talk about, then let's do that. I'm just trying to understand what delaying this will do. If that makes you more comfortable just to delay it, then I don't have a problem with that, as long as we at some point end up with something that deputies can do. But if there's something in here you know now is the issue, is it possible we can discuss that, or is it just a fee? I'm trying to understand what the concern is, because it's vague, right?
My biggest concern is I think there needs to be a big difference for being able to record what goes on when we're in this room and being able to document what elected officials say. I mean, I don't think as elected officials we have that expectation of privacy as a county employee that just comes to work and does their job. I just think that there needs to be a big difference. I don't know how to put that in legal terms. That's why we pay you the big bucks. So if we can do that, I would vote for that.
Does it not say that?
But the problem I have is that we can have a forum in this room. According to this policy, we can't be recorded until we gavel in a meeting and gavel out. I just have a problem with that. And
You want us to be recorded before the meeting?
I don't think that it should be this far out if we're all here sitting and talking before we start or after we start. I just think there needs to be a big difference towards a deliberative body and what we're saying. That's the biggest concern that I have.
Okay. All right, well, let's either vote this up, vote it down, or table it. At this point, we have a motion on the table. And unless I hear something, or did we get a motion to table? I haven't heard such a motion. I don't have that written down.
Motion to table.
All right, we have a motion to table. And a second. All in favor until the next meeting. All in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. What'd you vote? I didn't hear you.
Okay. Somebody said no, negative.
Well, wait, yeah, he said not to table. Which way did you go?
I'm taking.
Table, so motion passes to table 3-1. Okay. We will table that. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what to tell you to do, but other than just read over and see if we can delineate. Well, let me ask a question.
One thing will make a difference, we don't just get this thing vote, or whatever.
I would ask if Commissioner Shute's position on this meeting is the position of the rest of it, because that's a pretty significant difference. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and you don't have to say that today, just talk to press if you would check with me. Because, I mean, other than that, and I don't know what else in here y'all want change. You know, I've heard a lot of discussion about concerns, but, you know, press has got to put something on paper, so I think he needs help. You tell me what in this document needs to be changed, not, you know, concern. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not, you know, we just gotta have something. All right. Item number next is 12 is a request to approve amendments to the rules of procedure for the Houston County Commission. All right, again, we got comments emailed in that I want to read for the record. From a yes, Ray, to all of us, and I'm just going to read the context of it. It says this communication is in reference to the commission meeting agenda on 12/14, request to approve amendments to the rules of procedure of the Houston County Commission. This communication is to inform the commission that a vote on this request should not even be considered. If it is voted on, the vote for all commissioners should be a no. And it's pretty long, but she's concerned about the rights of the people and that we are that the Constitution authorizes people to have access to commission to express grievances. Also, quotes the Open Meetings Act and guaranteeing all the Alabama citizens have open access to governmental meetings, and the meeting of a governmental body may be openly recorded, which we just talked about. So again, bless you. Again, I will put that in the we will put that in the agenda. As before, I want to state that we are by no means trying to limit access to our meetings. The only limits we have right now are created by COVID. We hope to, at some point, get back to a point that we are comfortable allowing the general public to attend our meeting. We had hoped January was the time, but the way things are right now, and with the spike in meetings, in COVID, and talking to some of you, I don't think we're going to do that in January. I think we talked the other day, Harvey had the idea about March, but maybe February, but as soon as we can, we want to get things back to normal while protecting our citizens and our employees. But regardless of that, this that we're voting on would have implications after our COVID restrictions are gone. There are two changes I read on Thursday. There's an ordinance that we're actually adopting, I guess, is what Brett is asking. One has to do with the setting of the agenda, and in essence would create an administrative meeting on Monday morning. Should we not have Thursday's administrative meeting, giving opportunity for commissioners to have input, even if we don't have a meeting, into what goes on the agenda beyond the call that they get, and beyond whatever the chairman authorizes on the agenda. And then the other change would be in the what we would now call privileges of the floor, how the citizenry signs up to that. We by no means are limiting anybody's access to this meeting. We are not limiting the privileges of the floor. It is still there for citizens to come and express their thoughts to us regarding items dealing with the county. We feel that to be very important, that we give citizens the ability to express their concerns to us regarding items dealing with the county. We do, however, I think, based on our work session, feel strongly that it not be something that is abused and that people use just to gain access to these fine folks that are in this room today representing media outlets. So, we are very, I as chairman and these commissioners too are very cognizant of decorum and that this is the business meeting of Houston County. This is not just a gathering to talk about things going on in the community. This is the business meeting of Houston County where we transact the business, and it needs to be treated with the dignity it deserves. So these changes do that, and we make some changes grammatically and on Thursday, and so just wanted to try to again clarify that. The form is in there, and did I say all that without having a motion? I am so in violation of my rules and regulations. Can we get a motion? Motion by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner St. Oh, I'm so tired. All right, comments, questions?
Say this,
Commissioner Chu.
that we've gone through this process the right way, and it's a good example of how we put our heads together and come up with an ideal solution. So,
Very good point. I commend the commission and press. This has been a process that's been ongoing. And, get a problem and talk to it and work it out and come up with a good solution. And I think this is a very positive, good point. Other comments? I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner. You'd like to raise your hand down there. I can see.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that we're looking at the rules of procedure, and I'm concerned about some things. Like I said, this again is public input. This privilege of the floor is something I'm not too keen about. I like the wording of privilege, public input. And the reason I say that is we must afford citizens opportunity to influence decisions that affects their lives. Public participation will result in better government. Public input and participation can help resolve issues and the benefits of interested parties. When done correctly, the times and efforts invested in public input pays dividends by resulting in a more acceptable, implementable, and sustainable decision. Looking at this and studying and hearing from many of the constituents, they're concerned. We do need to look at possibly sooner than later open our commission meetings to the public first of the year. And I would like to consider a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we move to continue to use the rules of procedure that we adopted by Houston County Commission in November of 2014. It seemed to have worked well. That was required by Alabama Open Meetings Law, Act 2000-005-40. These two changes, one exception, that if the administrative meeting is not held on a Thursday, then we will have that meeting 1 hour prior to commission meeting. This is my, I guess, amended, going back to our current policy that we're operating on the rules of procedure.
All right, let me be sure I understand what you just said. Are you trying to make a motion? Because there's a motion on the floor. if you're trying to make a motion, what you need to make is a substitute motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're making a substitute motion, basically that we keep our rules of procedure as they currently are.
Exactly.
All right, do we have a second to that? All right, hearing no second, then we will go back to the motion that is currently on the floor. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-1. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 13, request to sell chiller on Gov Deals. Motion by Commissioner Pugh. Second. By Commissioner Herring. What? Y'all want to buy a chiller or what's coming?
We're talking about something else.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Staff, report, Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report.
Mr. County Engineer. You probably never get to it.
That's fine. We have 6 Clay Roads, South Park, Steel Cox, Middleton, Gilmore, Coot Adams, and Cecil Barn. These are our last 6 sites of our damage from the hurricane. We're currently working on South Park and Steel Cox. They won't be complete until the end of January. And the 4 remaining sites are all big sites. So these roads are going to be closed for a while. So we won't even start on the other roads until sometime on into January. So this is what we're down to.
Okay, thank you. Mr. County Attorney.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any questions for the staff? I would just follow up on action we've taken by saying, if you, Mr. Attorney, would email the commission the current copy of the reporting policy and ask them for their comments via email by January 4th, give everybody plenty of time to look over them. Then that way everybody will have an opportunity to make a comment rather than trying to catch up here. Put something together for our meeting, whatever our first meeting is.
Yes, sir.
Those are the table items we tabled until the first meeting. I'll also give you time to get with the sheriff's department. All right. Any other questions or comments for the staff? All right. Then we wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year, and look forward to seeing all of your smiling faces back here in this room after the first meeting. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And we're getting that together. I don't think so. I think what we do is, by mistaken, we report on what we've done so far. Now, the problem was we may alter the plan a little bit and do it that meeting later. You know, so, yes, going forward, yeah. Hey.
So, oh, okay. So I tried to like, for the actual community vote. The actual.
I thought me and you had this discussion.
I've always said I'm not.
Okay, one more thing. Okay.
All right.
Stay at home from the line.
You've got some good shit.
Maybe we had a later date.
I'll be around for the next time.
No, she's not leaving. Okay, we got time.
Up to 6 months.
We got some.
Thank you so much. Oops, I don't want to get on
I don't have anything to do, but I want to get that done so we can put that to bed. Do you need anything from me?
No, you're
Okay.
good. If I do, I'll have Peter call you.
Good.
Hey, Amy, how you doing?
Good, you?
Not bad. No, we're good.